Hello, good morning. The best thing you can offer your son. Of course, everybody knows emotional support, love, affection, tenderness. This is what you have to offer your son. I mean, a son or a daughter. The best thing you can offer the son is emotional support. That's along the journey of life, but certain things we don't pay attention to. Some forces. Yes, whether the parents or school or governments, if they pay attention to these following forces, oh yeah, they can raise a generation, strong generation, with moral values. There's no such a study existing like this. Today is just we are burdening the kid with information. There is an overflow of information, but not knowledge, not wisdom. The first force that probably, I should say the best force, the first force in the kid is the force of abstention. Why the force of abstention? Any force that is existing that you have to provide on your own, there is another force that is contradicting it in your innate. You don't know it. There is a force of gravity. If you were to develop a muscle, you have to contradict that force by lifting the weight towards its levitation, is the force of levitation. You do this. Then you exercise, or depends on which muscle you want to develop. So there is already a force. Then you develop a muscle. In the kid, there is something in his nature. It's a part of his instinct. The Prophet, peace be upon him, mentioned this. He didn't say force whatever. He just taught from teaching a kid on the table. What are you going to teach the kid? Of course, on the table. What do you mean by the table? Table of the food. But it's not limited to the table of food. That's the table of life. You teach the kid how to deal with the food at the time when he is feeding his physical body and his psychological body at the same time. He doesn't know that, but he does it just by obedience to your parents, to his parents. This companion was describing how he was when he was a kid near the Prophet, and he said, my hands were going like this, dispersed, random. That's how he is, the kid. He touches anything. He plays with anything. This is something, it's a part of his nature. So the Prophet, when he spoke to him, well, we don't know the age, but at the time when the kid start learning, could be 4 years old, 5, I don't know, depends. Sometimes the kid is more intelligent before, and he can hear, he can listen. He said, say in the name of God when you eat. He said, Sammi Ismallah. And you eat with your right hand. And you eat from your side. It is preferable. It doesn't hurt. Today, all the kids, they eat alone, even among the family. It is preferable, advisable, that he eats with people. Because the world is a coexistence. Or kids like him. We don't have kids. We're neighbors, you are a neighbor. And the kid, the hand of the kid, if it's gonna go, then there is a force of abstention. He said, my kid, this is your risk. This is what God gave you. Destiny. Something is here, it's not there. Do not touch others. Do not eat from the others. Eat from your part. That's the force of abstention. He eats from his part, his eyes, they're gonna go to something better. Don't, or take your share. Teach a kid on the plate. When he is eating the plate, serve the plate so that you finish it. Do not leave the food in the plate and you throw it. You know who are the squanderers. A squanderer, التبذير, God described them, إن المبذرين كانوا إخوان الشياطين وكان الشيطان لربه كفورا. There is an extra that's going to be thrown. Take what is needed, what is the necessity. Do not throw. Why? Because what you're going to throw is a part of your conscience. So we say you feed your body, your physical body. So his hand is already, there is a force of abstention being developed at the same moment in his head. Just regularly, in very nice, soft, nice way. My son, this is yours. That's not yours. You get something we like, I don't know, by chance. You have a vegetable here. You don't have a meat, or you don't have something like, that's okay. Take just a part. But the most important is, do not let the hand go. Do not let the conscience trespass. That's the most important point. Eat from your part. Now, the most important point hasn't been said yet. A table, before you eat on the table, make sure the table is very clean. If you eat on the table, if you eat on the floor, I don't know, people are different. Don't go that far. Very clean. So that in case if the crumbs, they fall, you pick them up. When you do this in front of a kid, he doesn't know. I'm talking to an adult. The Prophet told you, pick them up. Do not let them to Satan. Do you understand? To Satan. Will you leave them? Did you see them? Did you see Satan eating from them? Listen, Satan is eating from your unconscious. Satan is interfering when there is an automatism. Satan is dealing with an automaton. Satan takes over when there is a systematism where the conscience is absent. This is where resides Satan. What falls, pay attention to it, pick it up in front of the kid. Pick it up and just pay attention. Be careful, my son. Satan is going to eat it. He's going to eat it. Be careful. Do not give it to him. Satan is eating from the crumbs. Now, think about the whole food is left on the table, is left in the plate, and is thrown, which is the case of the majority of people. Think about the bread that is thrown, which is as it is in the Arab world. Think about this. What is the conscience? By the way, between parentheses, the word bread is mentioned one time in the Quran and is mentioned on the head. Story does not pertain and it has nothing to do with, we say, the occasion why this verse was revealed. We say sabab al-nuzul. No, it has nothing to do with that. Approach the situation from a different angle. This is what the Quran is. The Quran is not strict, like, that's it. No. Quran is not, like something has to be that way. No. You think about it from a different, as I said, perspective. A human being, what does he have here? He has a brain. He has a brain protected by the school, and the bread is at the top. As much as he had, he gives respect to this gratitude, to this mercy from God, to this grace from God, as much that's his position in life. If he does this to the bread, he is lifted by a vehicle that he ignores. That's ni'mah. Noah, he was transported, not because he needs that. That's ni'mah. Moses was in a cradle, transported with the waves of the river. That's ni'mah, not because God could have put him somewhere without that transport. That's ni'mah. The prophet was transported the day of his ascension to heaven, Mi'raj. That's al-Buraq. That's just a ni'mah, and it's a privilege. If you want to be in that kind of like a privilege, prestige, that's humbleness. And pick them up. Your position is at the top. A force of abstention. These are teaching just early age. You finish, make sure you tell him what is left in the plate. Do not leave it to Satan. Prophecy said, finish what is in the plate. You don't know where is the barakah. You know, barakah, you cannot translate it. I don't know, you don't find it. It's just the minimum that's going to substitute to replace a maximum. It's a shortcut. It's the wisdom. It's the hikmah. Something you read an encyclopedia, they're going to tell you, could you possibly summarize this encyclopedia in one word? It's impossible, but that's it is the hikmah. That's it is what it is, the barakah. So finish it. Do not leave it. When you finish it, there is no crumbs on the table. You ate them. You have picked up your conscience. All these small kind of crumbs, they fall. This is a part, segments of your conscience are disappearing from your kid. Pay attention to that. Don't wait for science to prove it, because science is sleeping. Science is a part of the consumer-producer system, just selling. No one can give you an advice for free, except religious people. Of course they do, astaghfirullah. Anyway, now in life, he start growing up, he's becoming, especially after the age of puberty, we have the force of abstention, we have the force of obtention, The most important point, when you make, I said, you want to contradict the force. If you tell him, do this force, for instance, lifting a weight. There is a force, there is a force. At the same moment, attract his attention, tell him, who is watching you now? I'm just giving an example, I'm not going into these things. Who is watching you? Make sure he generates worship exposed to lordship. At the frontier, Prophet said, you worship God as if you see him. This is a movement towards the horizon. You are moving forward. To see, curiosity, ambition. You try to achieve, you try, and then, hey, you couldn't find anything. You gave up. You did not give up. You admit. You recognize your inadequacy. At the exact moment of ajz, who is watching you? This is the force. It's a frontier. This is the force that will develop and expand in the kid's character. If you cannot, that means, it doesn't mean you give up. It doesn't mean in the first place say, well, I'm not going to see God anyway. Why do I have to bother? No, you were told to search, to seek God. Do it. That's obtention, that achievement. You tried and you cannot. At every moment when you recognize al-ajzu an idraki al-idraki idrakun, recognizing your incapability, your inadequacy is itself an achievement. There is a force developed, nobody can tell you this, two forces. So at the moment of these kind of like recognition, There is big force, recognize who was watching you. I give an example of now. He is your partner. He is a girl, she is. Give him something that he loves. You know, he loves whatever chocolate. Well, white chocolate. Wait until the moment when the kid is happy, absorbing, egoistically. It takes a big part in the heart. Then attract his or her attention. My son, what do you think if you share it with your neighbor? Let it be in the heart, like sponge. Then I try to take. He doesn't just the first time it's kind of struggle with the ego. You see the kids, I don't fix it. But look, big chocolate is waiting for you in heaven. It's not like this. Big thing, you encourage, then he does it, but under your supervision. Then like this, and you see the kid, you say, now there is a force, as I mentioned it initially about the kid. Earlier, the force was an attraction, attractive, in other words, towards, horizontally. That's a part of the kid's nature in his hands. So there was a force of abstention. Now, there is a force of abstention of egoism, and he is making an effort to fight it, to struggle with it. That's a force of, generosity. Obtention, I don't know if that's correct, not correct word. Maybe. That's the force here. If he can do these things by himself, that's the idealism. Abstention, obtention, but for the sake of whom did you do it? 1 second, you want to give this, but pay attention. Who is supervising you? That's a big difference. It is as if you are sitting, standing on a solid. The action you did, you provide, you made an effort with an action, it left a residue under your feet. It's like this. 30 square centimeter, 30. You do it for God's sake. This will become like ripples spreading towards the periphery. That's in the mind. That's in the heart. For God's sake, that doesn't leave the same dimension, and cannot be put under scrutiny or whatever. I don't know if it's correct what I'm saying. But the most important point is the force of abstention. Now, my son, I love you. I love you, as you know that. I love you. Yeah. You remember you were asking me to get your driver's license wherever you got it, and I struggled to give you to buy a car. But why are you driving like this? No, you're driving very fast. Why are you doing like this? You know why they put the speed bump outside in that agglomeration? I don't know. They put it because of you and because people like you. It's because you remember when I taught you when you were a kid, I was teaching you about the force of abstention. You know what abstention? Now I can explain it to you. Back then, you were a kid. But the force of abstention is not existing inside you. Look what the force of abstention when it is neglected. You know what you're doing? You are voting for slavery. You want me to explain it to you? Okay, be ready and listen. Earlier, had this. The nervous system is the commander, is the governor. And the parts of the body, the organs, are governed. Do you understand my point? Because he gives instructions to the foot to press on the brake, to lower and to drive slowly. Now, The governor is no longer a governor. He let it go, let it be, and he let the instinct, the driving recklessness controlling the governor. The governor is no longer existing. Your caliber, and I see you soon.